First, get some warm water or milk, mix in some honey, get in about 2 teaspoons or however much of yeast, put it in there, let it bloom for maybe 8 to 10 minutes just to make sure it's still active, because if it's not active, you're not getting any rising. After you let the yeast bloom, or maybe during, while you're waiting for the yeast to bloom, get your dry ingredients ready. Your flour, your salt, your sugar, your whatever. As soon as the yeast is done blooming, you mix them together. That's fun. And then, after kneading a while and adding flour as necessary, you get your dough. To your dough, you let it proof in a above room temperature place. I like to set the oven to the lowest temperature I can go for maybe a minute, then open it, let it cool down a little bit, then proof the dough in there for maybe an hour. You don't want to overproof it too much. Then after it proofs for an hour, you take it out, you punch out the air. And then once you have your proofed dough, I just put it in my 2 loaf pans. I roll them up, and then while they're in the pans, you have to let them proof again, but for a shorter period of time this time. And then once they've proofed once more, they puffed up, then it's time to start baking. Then you bake, preheat the oven to whatever temperature. In the end, you have bread. It was initially an attempt to cut down on eating costs, as I believe making my own bread might be more efficient. I am wrong. This is probably not the case, in that there's a lot of cheap breads out there, especially if you go to like Walmart or Aldi's, as an example. You get a whole loaf for maybe $1. Whole loaf for $1. That's how much this loaf right here, not sponsored, 100% whole wheat, was $1.29 at Aldi's for this loaf. This is already bigger than my bread pan. This is all bigger than any loaf I can make individually, and it's $1.29. I can't compete. I cannot compete. Buying the ingredients to make bread in of itself is too expensive when you're not a huge manufacturer and you're able to buy it in bulk. While it is a lot cheaper to get it from like stores, there is that satisfaction that comes with making something yourself and then consuming it, as well as that you have more control, more customization.
Purple bread.
I can have purple bread. I made purple bread. You can't buy that in stores, at least for a cheap price.
It's bread. It's bread. You know, I once had a friend in the 4th grade when I went to China confide to me that he grabbed his own shit out of the toilet